Hello, good people of the internet, and welcome to the September-October 2020 edition of Raise Up Indie Voices, a series trying to shed light on some of the amazing indie science fiction and fantasy writers out there, and all the new books they're releasing, because there are so many books that come out every month, and I absolutely love to support my fellow indie authors. So we're going to go through some that I'm really excited about, and tell you a little bit about them, and why you should check them out. So here we go. So, the first book that I'm super excited about is Anita Stewart's Past Legends. It's the first book of a new series called The Camelot Immortals. And it is a book about an immortal witch of Camelot, a looming magical crisis, and a destiny she's willing to reject. It's a contemporary Arthurian fantasy inspired by the tales we all know and love. And if you like strong, snarky heroines, wizards and witches, and copious amounts of alcohol, then you'll love this. It is going to be astonishing. Every time that I read a book and it's just like, trigger warning, foul language, sign me up, this is gonna be fun. There's gonna be lots of swearing, lots of booze, lots of adventure. I cannot get enough of that kind of retelling, especially. Because a lot of time, like, the big old legends are very pristine and beautiful, and I like my stories gritty and snarky, so I'm super excited about this. I've read a few things by Anita Stewart, and it is just, she's a really good writer. I've been featured on her channel, and she's fantastic to talk to, so please go check her out. There is also a prequel to this called Eternal Myths. It is also available on Amazon. I'm going to link all the link all the books below, so please check them out. Anita is wonderful, and her book is absolutely worth looking into. Like, who doesn't like Camelot and Arthur, especially with a kick-ass female protagonist? I remember reading Mists of Avalon as a child and just loving them. Of course, the author, there's some stuff, and I'm not super fan of her these days, but just the memory of reading these legends that were all about the guys, and then suddenly these awesome women showed up, was life-changing to me and really inspired me to write fantasy with female protagonists. So again, that is Past Legends, the first book of the Camelot Immortals, and I know I'm going to be getting it like right now. So Past Legends comes out October 28th. On October 27th, another book is coming out. It's called Price of Penitence, and it's by Dan Zangari, and it is a book of short stories and legends and tales from a fantasy world. Now, anyone who's read my Where Shadows Lie knows I am obsessed with, like, stories within stories and mythology, and we just did a whole episode on mythology and religion, so this just speaks to me. I am super excited. I haven't even read the main series, and I'm super excited. So I'm going to read the blurb because, again, it, like, has so many tropes that I love. And it's, winds of change have swept across the Midendalarn Empire. The rites and practices of Chiricium, sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, the one true religion, have slackened, particularly those surrounding the Feast of Sorrows. But one man, High Duke Scovis Tassivir, remains faithful to the ancient ways. His devotion is seen as a mad obsession by his fellow aristocrats. Unashamed, Scovis carries out the practices of the ancients. His devotion sets him on a path that will forever change the world of Calva by paving the way for the rise of the Unspoken One and hastening the return of his god. So, this has so many tropes I love. I love stories that are about fantasy religions. Like, give them to me. I think it is so interesting to explore the ethics and the philosophy of fantasy worlds. And I love stories that are about, like, that one person who still practices a religion and finding out whether it's, like, actually legit, or if he's in the right or if he's in the wrong. Like, that kind of stuff, just I cannot get enough of it. So again, that is The Price of Penitence, Untold Tales of Calda. That is the 5th book in this series. It is by Robert Zangari, and it is out October 27th. Link below. I am super excited about this one. The next book I'd like to feature is called Truth and Other Lies, a Loki fantasy adventure by Lyra Wolf. Now, this is a retelling of Norse mythology, I think fictionalized even more heavily. It's about Loki, which, tricksters. It's truth, lies, whatever lies in between, like that's my jam. It sounds like there's going to be a romance and there's a prophecy, and it's about Loki like having to go back and work with the Asgardian gods, which is an interesting turn. I have some like weird things about prophecies. I love and hate them, having both used them and like generally not reading a lot of books where I find them interesting. So I'm excited to see if this is one of those or if it's, just another kind of vague prophecy. But I am really, really digging this trickster character. Like the rise of tricksters and mischief makers as protagonists is something that I am gleefully on board with, because it means I get to write more of them and I get to read more of them. Give me my tricksters. So again, that is Truth and Other Lies, a Loki fantasy adventure by Lyra Wolf. It seems like it's going to be part of a series of Norse I can't talk today. Norse mythology, reimagined, probably as romances or at least as adventures. Truth and Other Lies, which is such a wonderful title. Like, kudos to Lyra Wolf. That is an amazing title that drew me in right away. I am really excited to get to see this. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's already out in paperback and it's coming out October 9th. So if you are into Norse mythology and if you are a Loki fan like me, consider checking it out. Next book is Divinity's Twilight Rebirth by Christopher Russell. We had Christopher on the channel a couple weeks ago and it was wonderful. He's one of my writing buddies and I'm so excited to see this book doing well. The ebook was out a while ago, but the paperback just came out in September and it is gorgeous. Like, the cover art is absolutely beautiful and the story is exactly the sort of book that I really enjoy. It's chunky. It has like really good historical background and it's science fantasy, so there's like, airships and magic and resource management on this like material that you need to do magic. So basically it has every single checkbox of a book that I love. I don't believe it has dragons, which, at least for now, I hear that there are dragons coming. And I will be holding him to that because I want me some dragons messing with his airships. That is something I need in my life. This is one of the greats. It's really well written. It is really well reviewed. It has so much creativity. I mean, it is like half fantasy, half military sci-fi, a bit of steampunk. It's just basically, go read it. Just go read it. Stop listening to me. Go. The next is Ogrim Dog and the War of the Dead, a fantasy horror by Jamie Edmondson. So this is the third book in the Ogrim Dog world, and it is about a three-headed ogre, with each head having quite a distinct personality. And it's such a fun concept. Like, it's the serious but also funny fantasy version of like the three-headed knight from Monty Python, and I'm there for it. I've been watching this author for a while. He's been incredibly wonderful and has been just putting out these really creative fantasy books, and I'm not usually one for fantasy with ogres and elves and gnomes, all the fantasy races. It's just not my jam. It's not what I usually pick up because oftentimes it's just not done particularly creatively. This is creative. This is fun. Like, I cannot tell you how hyped I am to see a three-headed ogre as the hero of these amazing fantasy books. It is something I've never seen before, and therefore it's like this weird like gem. Like, we are told as authors that there's nothing unique, and here we go have like this really fascinating character who I just cannot think of a comparable example to. So that is Ogrim Dog. I definitely do not suggest starting with this one, given that, it's the third book in a series, but the other two are out and they are wonderful. I'm actually going to link to the first book in the series, so if anyone is looking for, the full experience, but I cannot wait to dig my teeth into this. It's almost at the top of my reading list because again, give me some unusual protagonists. It's like this, and my other thing on my wish list is a fierce fantasy granny who takes on the world by storm. So if you have found that book, please send it to me. If you have not found that book and it doesn't exist, please write it for me. Like right now, again, you were off buying Divinity's Twilight Rebirth, go buy Ogrim Dog and then write me about a granny killing monsters with knitting needles. That is what I need in the world. So the next book is called The Amethyst Panda, a monster-catching game-lit adventure. It is the second book of the Mayamon book series by Kay McLeod, and it is about a girl in a game who, instead of just catching the monsters and whether it be Pokemon or any kind of collecting game, makes friends with them and join Team's Monster. It's again the second book in a series, so catch the first book. It's definitely always better to read series in order of, I think, in order of publication. Some people think in order chronology. Not that it counts in this thing, but that's a discussion for a different day. Anyways, this book, the general idea is monsters do exist. The humans working to destroy them are way more dangerous. In this book, the monsters are threatened by the game makers, and this girl has to basically team up with some people she wouldn't usually work with to save something she loves. I love that kind of story. Anytime you get multiple people thrown together for a cause, but who don't necessarily agree with each other, it's just oh yes, there's gonna be some internal drama, there's gonna be some, probably some snark, and also, there's an adorable amethyst panda, it looks like, a little cute panda-inspired creature, but oh my god, it's adorable. I'm down for this. The cover is so sweet, and this little critter is just everything I want in life. So, I'm just... cute marketing absolutely works on me. If it's adorable, I will love it. This is way beyond adorable. In fact, I kind of want it as a pet, and if this does not become a huge Mega Million dollar success and I don't get a plushie of it, I'm again, my life will be less rich. I need this. So, everyone, buy Kay McLeod's The Amethyst Panda and, get Hollywood to produce, a TV show of it, and then get me a plushie. This is my wish for Christmas. Not that it's Christmas. I wish it were Christmas. I'm really done with 2020. Anyhow, that is coming out October 11th. So, right around the corner, go get it. The Amethyst Panda. So, the next book is a pretty unusual looking shifter romance. It's called Ashes on the Earth. It's the first book of the Stones of Fire series by Sarah Ashwood. Now, what I really like about this is usually the first thing on a shifter cover is an animal or something that, one of the romantic leads turns into. And this has this fiery, kind of weird, almost spectral person, and I'm there for that. That's very different. I'm kind of hoping for some elemental shifters, and if that is the case, I'm not usually a shifter romance or an urban fantasy person, but fire is pretty damn sexy, and I'm kind of cool with this. Anyways, so the tagline is shapeshifters exists, monsters are real, and no good deed goes unpunished, which of course brings me to the Wicked song, which I can't actually recite the entire way through, but I am horrible at singing, so I'm not going to destroy your eardrums doing this, but I do listen to it on repeat a lot, so Nice reference. Anyways, it follows a nursing student, Ellie St. James, who doesn't mean to get involved in this, like, rival gang of shifters war, but does. And then she gets in trouble, and she saves a mob boss's child's life. And then she's threatened, so she's assigned this bodyguard who is a shifter. So it seems like a protector protectee trope, where she's, you know, doing her thing and threatened, and has a bodyguard who is just as scary maybe as the monsters who are coming to get her, but also sexy McSexy pants. And any situation where two romantic leads are forced together is just my cup of tea. I love it. It really doesn't matter what the details are. Like, I will read it. I can't help myself. I love that kind of drama of just like, we cannot be apart because literally one of us will die if that happens. But but being together is super not a great idea for X, Y, and Z. It doesn't matter what the reasons are. I'm there. And also, what I'm really excited about this is apparently the shifters, like, are deadly creatures from legends and folklore around the globe. And, like, I hope it's done well. If it is done well, it will be excellent. And it's getting really rave reviews, so I'm really hoping that this is a case where, like, it was, you know, things are taken with a lot of context and very respectfully of their cultures, and that it is just super different and creative and imaginative. Whereas, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good dragon or wolf shifter. They're fun, like, they're classics for a reason, and a lot of people really love them. I'm not super keen on them. I mean, you'd think so because dragons are, like, my thing, but I like dragons. I don't necessarily want to have sex with them. I just kind of want to be roared at by them and or, like, ride them in the platonic way. But, you know, that aside, I mean, I'm down for this. Also, Ashes on the Earth is beautiful title. Again, the cover is absolutely stunning on this one. If that doesn't sell you on it, like, I don't know what will. It is gorgeous. It looks really creative and imaginative. So if you are into urban fantasy and really creative shifters, absolutely check this out. So I want to talk a little bit about the next book in A Voice That Thunders series by Cully Mack. Now, I've been seeing this series pretty much everywhere. It seems to be doing really well for itself, and it has some of the most genuinely gorgeous covers I have ever seen on indie books. They are so dramatic and beautiful. Every time I stop, I encounter this book a lot in my news feeds because we roll in the same circles, and every time I stop and look at it, it's like just my little pause, my break, where I'm like, okay, like, breathe. You can stare at this gorgeous cover and just be for a second while you appreciate it. But beyond that, you should actually read the book, not just look at the cover. A Voice That Thunders is the story of Mira and Gabe. They are a pair of siblings. They're pulled apart, and they're caught up in a whole bunch of adventure politics. It has giants and chimera and magic. It is wonderfully creative series that I am just really excited about. And the fourth book is the one that is coming out on October 30th. It's called A Vow That Clashes. All of these titles are just on it. I love this kind of just action in the title. A voice that thunders, a vow that clashes, a scream that shatters, a fire that whispers. Like, they're so evocative, and, like, for me, that's one of the things that just sells me on a book. It's that moment of, I can already picture this. I can hear these screams and hear this thunder. It draws me into the world before I even crack open the first page. which is a really hard thing to do, and kudos to Cully Mack for doing this. I stop every single time. It's super, super iconic and eye-catching, and a lot of people are really, really enjoying this series. I hope to pick it up very soon. So from what I understand, A Vow That Clashes, which is the newest release, follows the brother Gabe, and his kind of a story about sacrifice and who pays the price for it. This is something that I love. I love ethical dilemmas where real consequences come to bear. So, like, knowing that that is coming at the end of a series, or at least by book 4 of a series, just makes me want to read the whole thing, because letting characters actually experience the consequences of their actions and decisions draws me into the story, and it makes it real, and it makes the stakes like solid and tangible. And again, like this is just aesthetically exactly what I want in stories. I find that a lot of times, like, authors are almost scared of the consequences of their characters' actions, so they'll like brush away under the rug. Let's not talk about this. Let's give them the happy ending, even if they didn't earn it. And it really looks like in the Voice of Thunder series, the characters actually have to earn it, and they're working in a world that challenges them and that pushes them to the extremes. And it just, I want more fantasy that does that, that goes deep and really like dives into what a character needs to do and grow to overcome these things, not just how badass they are at swinging a sword. So, A Voice That Thunder series by Cully Mack, the newest book, A Vow That Clashes, comes out on October 30th, which means you have enough time to read the other 3 books. Yes, I'm talking to you. You exactly. Yes, you. Go read them right now, because oh dear God, this author needs more love. Give it to her, and let us I can talk today. Support her so that she can make more beautiful covers and like character challenging books, because the world needs more of them, and I am so down for it. The Rise of the Arcanist series. We are now 5 books in with the newest one. It's by Elizabeth Kirk, and it is a urban fantasy magical mystery. So, a long time ago, an Arcanist rose, this really powerful magical being, and they were defeated, and the world kind of decided, nope, no more of this. We're gonna make sure that this never happens again. Except that we're in the modern time now, and magic is vanishing without a trace, and things are going wrong. And our protagonist, Jen Maddox, is a young witch working for the Magical Enforcement and Secret Agency, and she's tasked to find out why. So while she's doing this investigation, she starts like coming up with this a lot of enemies and a lot of things that are going wrong for her, which kind of points to the fact that an Arcanist might be rising again. And I love that kind of mystery. Like, I'm not a big mystery reader of like traditional mysteries, but I love like urban fantasy mysteries. I don't know why I need magic in my mysteries before I love them, but like I think it's such a fantastic way to explore world building and explore a magic system without being like bashed on the head with it, because we are literally discovering the important parts of magic to the story with the character as they're solving the mystery. I am very excited to see this genre just booming in the last few years, and this is absolutely a good place to start in it if you have not read books like this before, because they are a ton of fun. So Magic Unveiled is the latest book that's coming out on October 20th. It is the 5th book. This is a serial, so they are fairly short and sweet books and a lot of fun, and they move very quickly. So if you're looking for that kind of fast-paced reading that's really exciting and is a mystery and is going to draw you in and get you really, like, you know, just trying to work out all the pieces, this is a great place to start. It's going to be a 6-book serial, so you won't have to wait a ton of time to find out the very end. And it is going to, I think, really, really pull together a fantastic story. So again, that is The Rise of the Arcanist books. We are 5 books into a 6-book series. The 5th book is coming out at the end of October, and it's by Elizabeth Kirk. Go check it out. So the next book we're going to look at is called Privilege by Bharat Krishnan. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. Really bad at pronouncing things, especially today, apparently. My words are not here. I don't know what to expect from this book. It is a story about a character, Rakshan Baliga, who has to choose between the American dream and his own. The synopsis is, New York's drug problem is Rakshan's solution. Getting his hands on a super drug called WP could earn him glory, power, and a chance to win back his ex. But stealing it from the top 1% is costly, and if Rakshan isn't careful, he'll pay with his life. Again, I don't know exactly what to expect from this. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a kind of super, like, almost mob politics, you know, drugs and stealth and stuff like that. So I'm kind of on tenterhooks here because it could be really, really good and really, like, interesting and political, allegorical, or it could just be something completely different. It could be an adventure. It could be a romance. We've talked about his ex. Like, I don't know exactly what to expect here, and that's intriguing. The cover is a man falling from a building on a red background. It's super, super, like, simple and streamlined and eye-catching, but doesn't tell us a lot about what's going to happen inside. So, again, I'm curious. Apparently it has illustrations, which I love in books. So I'm intrigued by this one, and I'm definitely going to at least, like, read the first little bit when it comes out on October 12th, because, like, curiosity kills the cat, and I'm apparently a cat, and nothing drives me like curiosity. As soon as you catch my interest and I pose a question, I must solve it. So I will be waiting in line for this on October 12th. I don't know about you, but I hope you are. Please tell me what you think of it and what it is. Like, again, I'm puzzled but interested. All right, we're almost at the end here, but I've saved one of the best for last. It's called The Burial by Drew Montgomery. It was published at the end of September, and it is the story of a woman who sets out from her village after her husband is killed in a holy war, intending to see him properly buried per their religious custom. That is such an unusual story that it immediately drew my attention. I really like unusual protagonists, kind of as I was saying earlier, and there's something about a, you know, recently widowed person trying to do right by her, you know, deceased spouse and their, the burial customs that they wanted, that tells me that this is going to be, again, an unusual story. Like, clearly it's going to be an epic journey through unfamiliar kingdoms. There's a war going on, so we might see some of the classical fantasy tropes, but I don't think we're going to see them played straight. And we usually see, you know, young farm boy. This is a, you know, farm wife who has children and is an adult, and I want to see how she goes adventuring. And also, like, I hope that this book really has a strong, like, emotional and philosophical core, and I think it will, because it's all, again, it's titled The Burial. It's all about the kind of apparently the religious customs of burying the dead for this couple, and that has the potential for some really deep and really soulful world building that I'm very, very keen to read more of. I'm excited about this book, not because it like fills me with glee, but because it really gives me hope for a journey that will be moving and touching. And there's not enough of that in the fantasy I've read recently. I've read a lot of really excellent, exciting, dramatic, creative fantasy, but I love some like more somber, darker tones. Especially when like it's not just dark tones. Like I know that there's a drunken priest, an adventurous bard, and a whole bunch of like lighter things. So I think it would be a really good mix. And like out of all of them, this is probably the one that like genuinely excites me the most. Not necessarily because it is the closest to like things I've liked in the past, but because I just get this sense that it's going to have something like soulful at its heart. Obviously, I have not read any of these books, so I will probably be reviewing one or two of them as I find time in my ridiculously busy schedule to read. It may not be for a while, but I think this one might be like on the top 3 of the books that I've mentioned today of what I'm actually like really excited to read. And finally, before I leave, I also have a book birthday in September. NaCl Eye of the Storm came out on September 13th, and it is an arcane punk pirate heist adventure about a group of misfits getting together to take down a big bad corporation that has complete control on every single grain of salt in a world that has very little of it. It is drawn from my own experiences as someone who is on a high salt diet who absolutely needs it to stay conscious. So it is super, super drawn from my own experiences, but also just, it was a lark. It was so much fun to write. It is feisty and lots of swearing and lots of drinking and lots of sex. It was written with my wonderful co-author E. Sands, who is an absolute treasure and a delight to write with. And it may not change your life, but it's a real fun adventure. So I hope that you check out all the books that I've mentioned today. I selfishly really hope that you check out mine, but that's not what this podcast is about. It's about shedding light on the amazing talent in the indie world. Once upon a time, there was a great stigma against being self-published or going indie. I don't think that that is as true today because of the quality of the books coming out these days is astonishing. And the indie sphere is a place where authors can experiment with different protagonists and alternative settings, and an ogre with 3 heads, and a like housewife farmer going to bury her dead, and science fantasy where nothing is quite the way that genre barriers tell us, and just there's so much creativity. This is just a snapshot of a couple of the books that have come out, and there's so much variety. So if you are looking for a new book, please consider buying indie. We work real hard, and we are doing some really odd stuff. Now, not everything might be to your liking, and there's definitely some rougher books. The editing standards can be a little bit lower, but those who do it professionally and those who do it with a real drive to really write good books, they are just as good and just absolutely worth reading as the big 5 published books. So get out there, keep reading. Please let me know in the comments if you have a book coming out in November, because I'm going to be doing another one of these. So feel free to message me or leave a comment. I absolutely love featuring indie books. If you want to join our reader and writer chat on our Discord, I have a link below. We are an exuberant community of writers and readers. We have a ton of fun. please subscribe and like and share this video if you can. It helps the algorithms, and I want this to get out as far and wide as I can. I really, really, really want my fellow indie authors to do great. We rise as one. I never look at my other authors as competition. I see them as my colleagues in a field where we are experimenting and having a blast with just every trope in the book and every voice. I mean, I've been reading a lot of indie, and it just has blown me away. Like, this last year in reading has been probably the most diverse and interesting in my life. So, again, keep reading. Buy indie. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.